This is Seeker Radio, Voices of the Circle. 11 Reflections from the Game of Light.
Seekers, tonight we step where the Codex begins, through the needle. But here's the question. If light is infinite, why is the first passage so narrow? Why must what is endless begin in constraint? To guide us, we're joined by Kinjiro, elder scholar, patient thinker, and the only man I've met who makes an overstuffed office look like a Zen garden. Kinjiro, welcome.
Thank you. The needle is narrow not because light is small, but because the seeker is scattered. We do not begin whole. We begin carrying too much. Fear, ambition, bitterness. These make us wide, unfocused. The passage teaches focus. The Codex says, only what is light may pass. But this is a paradox. Not all that shines is fit to enter. Too much light, wild, uncontrolled, becomes blinding, not guiding. A lamp is good. 1,000 lamps without order only dazzle and confuse. So the needle balances. It cuts away what is too heavy, but it also tempers what is too bright. The seeker must learn that light is not quantity. It is quality. The flame that endures is not the one that burns hottest, but the one that burns true.
So basically, travel light, but don't try to smuggle in a supernova either. Got it. Is coffee still okay?
Yes, even coffee may pass, if carried lightly.
There we go, Seekers. The first universal truth of the Codex. Enlightenment allows lattes, but more seriously, the needle isn't just poetry, it's calibration. It asks, what weight drags you back? What brightness blinds your step? Strip it away. Balance what remains. That's the needle. Step 1. Next week we move from passage to foundation, a temple not built of stone, but of vows. And trust me, the architect we've got lined up is going to hate that one. This is Seeker Radio, tuning out but never off. Last time Kinjiro spoke of the needle, the narrow passage, and next week Estelle, the architect, will lay the foundation. But tonight, Seekers, we stop at the threshold, the place where vow meets breath. To guide us, we welcome Anna, a nurse who has stood at the edge more times than most. Anna, welcome to the show.
Thank you. In my work, the threshold is a bed, a breath, a hand held in silence. I've seen people cling so hard to life that they never cross, even when the door is open. And I've seen others step lightly, almost smiling, as if they knew where the passage led. The truth is, the threshold doesn't lie. It shows you if you're ready. It asks, without words, what do you carry that you cannot take with you? And in that moment, you see clearly what was never yours to hold.
So, Seekers, you heard it. The threshold is an exam room without the paperwork. No one cares what you thought you owned, what titles you stacked, what grudges you polished. At the door, all that falls off the chart. Only the vow makes it through. Everything else stays behind with the bedpan.
The vow is the last thing I hear whispered, more often than not. Not words about wealth or pride, just promises of love, of light, of peace. The threshold strips us bare until only the vow remains.
And there it is, Seekers, the first vow. The crossing into what can't be undone. Step through it, and next time Estelle will show us what holds the ground steady beneath your feet. This is Seeker Radio, tuning out, but never off. Seekers, last time Anna walked us through the threshold, that first vow, the step you can't unstep. Tonight we press that foot into the ground. The Codex calls it the foundation, not bricks and blueprints, not yet. But still, who better to help us talk foundations than an actual architect? Joining us is Estelle, who's designed cathedrals, libraries, and probably more beautiful roofs than I've had hot dinners. Estelle, welcome to Seeker Radio.
Thank you. When I read the Codex line, stone upon stone, the hidden ground holds, I smiled, because every architect knows the visible structure is only as strong as what's beneath it. We draw spires, arches, stained glass, but none of that matters if the ground is weak. Foundations are never the showpiece. They're quiet, buried, unseen, but they are the truth of the building. The Codex is reminding us, whatever you vow, whatever you build, it must rest on something deeper than appearance.
So what you're saying is, Seekers, if you've got shaky ground, even the prettiest walls won't last. which is awkward because my own foundation usually cracks around, say, Wednesday afternoon.
We all build on shifting ground sometimes. But every honest promise, every vow kept, presses the soil firm beneath your feet. That's how the hidden ground holds.
Promises as bedrock. I like it. Seekers, next time you trip, don't blame your shoes. Check your foundation. If it's lies and broken vows, the whole temple falls in. But if it's truth, then even if the walls burn, the ground still holds. This is Seeker Radio, tuning out but never off. Last time Estelle showed us the ground beneath, the foundation where vows press the soil firm. Tonight, Seekers, we look up. The Codex says, the temple rises unseen, its walls are vow, not matter, which sounds like a planning nightmare. But that's why Estelle is back. Estelle, welcome again to Seeker Radio.
Thank you. Foundations are hidden, but walls declare themselves. They're the parts everyone sees. Yet in the Codex, the temple's walls aren't marble or timber, they're vows. Which makes sense to me now. Because every building I've drawn, every cathedral I've walked in, the real structure isn't the stone. It's the people inside. The promises they keep to each other. Stone cracks, glass shatters. But when vows hold, they hold everything.
So you're saying, Seekers, the strongest walls aren't in the building code, they're in the people code, which in my experience is even harder to enforce.
True. A vow broken is a wall fallen. A vow kept is a wall that shields generations. You can rebuild stone, but once trust collapses, it takes lifetimes to lay it again.
Seekers, hear that? The temple is a promise with an echo. Break it, and the sound lingers like rubble. Keep it, and the walls rise higher than spires. So maybe the Codex isn't against temples. Maybe it's just showing us how to build one that fire, time, or politics can't bring down. This is Seeker Radio, tuning out, but never off. Seekers, last time Estelle laid our foundation. Tonight the Codex tells us something alarming. The flame does not consume. It reveals. Now, I don't know about you, but most of my experience with fire involves singed eyebrows and ruined dinners. So I thought, who better to talk about flames than someone who runs toward them? Joining us tonight is Leo, a firefighter who's seen what fire really does. Hello, Leo.
Hello, and good evening to your listeners. You know, people think fire destroys. And yes, it can. But the thing is, in a blaze, it's not just about what burns. It's about what doesn't. I've stood in rooms reduced to ash where one thing remained. A steel beam, a photograph, sometimes just a handprint in soot. Fire reveals what was truly strong all along.
So, Seekers, there you go. Fire isn't a thief, it's a critic. It points and says this stays, that doesn't, which is awkward for me, because most of my confidence would probably go up like kindling.
Exactly. Fire makes you let go of what doesn't serve you. In the flames, all the extras, the clutter, the masks, the lies, they go first. What remains is you, bare, honest. That's the gift.
Seekers, did you hear that? The flame isn't out to get you, it's out to get your baggage, and if you're worried what might burn, maybe that's your sign. Next time, the Codex crowns us, which sounds majestic, but I've got a hunch it'll test pride harder than any inferno. This is Seeker Radio, tuning out but never off. Seekers, last time we let Leo walk us through the fire. The Codex said the flame doesn't consume, it reveals. And if you're still here, congrats, you didn't get torched. Now we step into radiance. Step 6. The crown. The Codex says, in its crown, all shadows confess their shape. I don't know about you, but I've worn a paper crown from a Christmas cracker, and the only thing that confessed was my dignity. So for real wisdom, I've brought in Celine, a mystic who actually understands crowns made of something other than cardboard. Celine, welcome to Seeker Radio.
Thank you. A crown in the Codex isn't an ornament. It's light arranged into truth. You see, seekers wear shadows all their lives, fears, secrets, burdens hidden. But under the crown, those shadows can't hide. They take shape, and in doing so, they lose their power. The crown doesn't glorify you. It reveals you whole, flawed, radiant.
So, Seekers, imagine that. Put on a crown and suddenly every bad habit, every secret midnight snack, every awkward teenage poem you swore no one would ever see, boom, out in the open. Sounds less like coronation, more like humiliation.
Humility is part of it. The crown isn't for pride, it's for truth. And once the shadows confess, you don't carry them alone anymore. That's why it is radiant. It frees you from hiding. But understand, Seekers, in the Codex, the crown is not an end. It is a turning. The Codex whispers that in its crown all shadows confess their shape. That means every hidden fear, every forgotten vow, every buried memory will rise into the light. It is not glory, but exposure. It is the Seeker's unveiling. And yet, that unveiling is grace. Because when your shadows speak, they step out of silence. And in that moment, they lose their teeth. The crown shows you that you were never alone in your burden, that every Seeker across the Lattiverse carries the same darkness, waiting to be named. And when you name it, you are no longer its prisoner. That is why the Codex crowns not kings, but Seekers. Not to elevate, but to illuminate.
All right, Seekers. So the crown isn't about looking good in a portrait. It's about owning up in the light. Every shadow steps out. Every secret stands tall. And in that exposure, you're finally free. That's the Codex's coronation. Step 6. Next time we face the mirror, which frankly sounds like even worse lighting. Stay tuned. This is Seeker Radio. Tuning out, but never off. Seekers, last time Celine placed a crown of light on our heads, radiant, humbling, shadows laid bare. Tonight, step 7, the mirror. The Codex says, the mirror does not answer, it shows, which sounds deep and terrifying, unless you're my next guest. To her, mirrors are just another tool of the trade. Social media star Jade, welcome to Seeker Radio.
Oh my God, hi! Okay, so, first of all, when I read "The mirror does not answer, it shows," I was like, duh. That's literally what mirrors do. But then I thought, wait, what if the Codex is dragging me? Because, listen, mirrors don't lie. My ring light can't fix the fact that if I'm tired, it shows. If I'm pretending, it shows. And the Codex is like, yeah, babe, exactly. You can't filter your soul.
Seekers, you heard it. Step 7 is basically a cosmic selfie. No retouching, no edits, no angles, just you, raw and unfiltered. Which is awkward, because I've been relying on shadows for most of my charm.
Same. But here's the thing. Once you stop freaking out and just look, the mirror isn't scary. It's actually kind of freeing. Because when you see yourself clearly, you stop performing. You're like, oh, this is me. This is what I bring. This is what I've been hiding. And then, this is the wild part. You start to love it. Even the flaws. Even the cringe.
Seekers, let's just say the Codex didn't invent imposter syndrome, but it sure invented the cure. The mirror doesn't care about your brand. It cares about your being. So here's the hard truth. Stop asking the mirror for answers. It won't talk back. It just shows. And sometimes what it shows is exactly what you've been running from. Until next time. This is Seeker Radio. Tuning out, but never off. Seekers, last time Jade brought her ring light to the mirror and reminded us you can't filter your soul. Now the Codex pushes us further. Step 8, the reflection. It says, what you carried, you meet. Which sounds less like poetry and more like an awkward reunion with your baggage at the airport. So to help us unpack without losing our minds, we're joined by Dr. Harada, a psychologist who spent years studying the way shadows circle back. Dr. Harada, welcome to Seeker Radio.
Thank you. The reflection in the Codex is not just a mirror, it is an echo. When it says, what you carried you meet, it's reminding us that everything we avoid eventually greets us again. Fear, grief, resentment, even joy we never allowed ourselves to feel. Psychology calls it the return of the repressed, but the Codex speaks with an older tongue. What we carry never vanishes. It lingers in silence, and in reflection, it comes to meet us again.
So, Seekers, basically the Codex invented therapy before therapy was cool. Forget your baggage fee. Your soul luggage is always coming down the carousel, and you'd better be ready to claim it.
Yes, but there's hope in that. Because when we meet what we carried, we finally have the chance to integrate it. The reflection is not punishment. It is completion. Think of it this way. Everything we refuse, every wound, every fear, every forgotten vow, does not vanish. It waits just outside the edge of awareness. The Codex teaches that in reflection, those fragments return, not to shame us, but to restore us. The shadow self steps forward, not as an enemy, but as a missing limb. What you meet in the reflection is not something foreign. It is you. The pieces you thought unworthy, the memories you buried, the voices you silenced. To carry them again is heavy, but to welcome them is healing. That is why the Codex insists, what you carried, you meet. Because only when you embrace the whole of yourself can you step further on the path. The mirror shows. The reflection gives back.
Completion, not punishment. Seekers, you heard it. The Codex isn't scolding you with a cosmic mirror. It's handing you the pieces you left behind. That's step 8. Next time, we leave the mirror and step into the net, a lattice where every crossing is a gate. That should be fun or terrifying. This is Seeker Radio, tuning out, but never off. Seekers, last time, Dr. Harada showed us that what we carry always returns in reflection. Now the Codex stretches wider. Step 9, the lattice. It says, each thread is a world, each crossing is a gate, which frankly sounds less like mysticism and more like the most complicated metro map in existence. So to help us trace the lines without getting lost, we're joined by Dr. Farid Tantra Webb, physicist and explorer of networks both cosmic and quantum. Dr. Webb, welcome to Seeker Radio.
Thank you. The Codex speaks of the lattice, and physics in its own way agrees. In Indra's net, every jewel reflects every other jewel. In quantum theory, every particle is entangled with countless others. The Codex is not speaking in metaphor. It is describing connection. Every thread is a universe, humming with its own rhythm, its own laws. And where threads cross, there is a gate, a point of exchange, a place where one reality touches another.
So, Seekers, let me get this straight. I'm basically a shiny bead on a cosmic spider web. Wow, I knew I should have ironed my shirt before this interview.
You jest, but yes. Each of us is a node. Every vow, every thought, every act. It vibrates the thread we sit on. That vibration moves outward. And in the lattice, nothing moves alone. Strike one string, and the entire net sings. That is the Codex's deeper point. We are not isolated. We are woven.
Woven, Seekers. The Codex says each crossing is a gate, which means every choice, every meeting, every vow, kept or broken, isn't just personal, it's interwoven. In the lattice, no ripple is wasted. That's step 9. Next time, we watch all those threads collapse inward into something the Codex calls the Singularity. And if I'm honest, I'm already nervous. This is Seeker Radio, tuning out but never off. Seekers, last time Dr. Webb left us woven into the lattice, every ripple singing through the net. Now the Codex says all that weaving won't hold forever. Step 10, the Singularity. It says, the scattered gathers, the one endures. Which, if I'm honest, sounds like the part of the movie where the screen goes white and the credits roll. So to help us face the collapse without panicking, we're joined by Ravi, a philosopher who has spent his life chasing the question of the one. Ravi, welcome to Seeker Radio.
Thank you. The singularity is not destruction, it is return. The scattered gathers. The one endures. You do not vanish into the one. You reveal you were the one all along. The singularity doesn't erase. It unveils. It shows you the fabric was never torn, only folded.
Seekers, I don't know about you, but I feel like Ravi's joining us from just outside a black hole. Every word taking its time to crawl through gravity towards us. But maybe that's exactly how the Singularity speaks. Slow enough for us to finally hear.
Yes, the one doesn't rush, it waits. And when we return, it is already there. Patient, whole, unchanged.
The Codex says, "The one endures." Seekers, if you've followed us this far, maybe you've felt the threads, maybe you've seen the crossings. But here, in Step 10, we find there was never a net at all. There was only the one. That's the singularity. Next time, we close the arc, the invocation, the return. And I think I'm finally ready to listen. This is Seeker Radio, tuning out, but never off. Seekers. We've heard from scholars, architects, firefighters, vloggers, psychologists, physicists, philosophers, and tonight, well, I didn't have to go far. Turns out, when you're up late recording strange conversations about the Codex, your neighbors notice, so with cake in hand and maybe a little curiosity too. Please welcome Rose Bell. Rose, thanks for dropping by.
Well, I see your light on all hours, talking to people all over the world, maybe the universe. So I thought you might need something sweet. And truth be told, I wanted to say thank you. You gave me that book, the Codex. At first I thought, oh, this is going to be one of those books, too clever for me. Geometry and temples and lattices, like something I wouldn't understand. But I kept reading, bit by bit, and it started to feel less like some ancient mystery and more like a mirror. The vows. I know those. I've kept some. I've broken some. The burdens. I know them too. We all do. And when the Codex spoke of fire, I thought of the times in my life when everything I clung to just burned away. Painful, yes, but I came through lighter. So maybe I realized the Codex isn't just about seekers in cloaks or temples in far-off lands. It's about me. It's about us.
And Rose, how did that hit you? Seeing yourself in a book people might call mystical or even impossible.
It hit me like a shockwave, because suddenly the kitchen table, the bedroom, the small places of my life, they were the temple. The mirror wasn't far away. It was right here. The flame wasn't some cosmic trial. It was what I went through when I lost someone I loved. And that's what I think people miss. They think the game of light is some grand adventure. And maybe it is. But it's also as small and ordinary as making tea, as holding your child, as keeping a promise. It's not somewhere out there. It's in every single room where people live.
Seekers, listen to that. We've gone through the needle, the temple, the flame, the mirror, the lattice, the singularity. But Rose reminds us, none of it matters if it doesn't strike home. The Codex isn't about escaping life. It's about seeing life for what it always was. Sacred, luminous, fragile, enduring.
And if I can see myself in the Codex, then so can anyone. The seeker isn't just the scholar or the mystic. It's the mother at her stove, the nurse on the night shift, the neighbor dropping in with cake. That's the hidden truth. Every one of us is already playing the game of light, whether we know it or not.
Seekers, that brings to a close Season 1 of Seeker Radio. From the needle to the invocation, you've walked all 11 steps with us. But this is only the beginning. Stay tuned. Season 2 is coming, and the Codex still has much to say. This is Seeker Radio, tuning out, but never off.
Seekers, the broadcast does not end here. The Game of Light continues at thegameoflight.org.